couple living in a homeless shelter had a baby, but officials refused to let the newborn stay. One homeless couple were terrified to discover they were expecting a baby on the streets. So when a shelter finally accepted them, they thought they could relax. However, after officials told them their newborn would be unable to stay there, they found themselves back at square one. Bernadette Ortiz and Richard Lopez found love in a hopeless place. Both of them were living in a homeless encampment known as the Jungle in San Jose, California when they met one another. Although their journeys differed, they both wound up in the same abysmal situation. When the couple met in 2012, it had been 7 years since Lopez had his own place. He first wound up homeless after quitting his job working as a soil inspector. Meanwhile, Ortiz had found herself without a home following domestic disputes with her husband. Both Ortiz and Lopez had families of their own. Ortiz had 4 children with her ex, but hadn't seen them since becoming homeless. Lopez, meanwhile, was a dad to a grown-up daughter, but they'd also lost touch with each other. However, despite these similarities, it wasn't until authorities disbanded the Jungle in 2014 that their love affair got going. That's when Ortiz went to live in Lopez's tent. Their relationship soon turned romantic and the couple became inseparable. But life on the street made their union complicated. Since the couple had no spare money for birth control, Ortiz fell pregnant with Lopez's child in early 2017. They'd never intended to conceive a baby. Now the reality of raising a little life with no home to call their own started to weigh heavily on their minds. When the city eventually removed the couple's tent, they went to live at a shelter run by the Grace Baptist Church. The church offered to keep a roof over Ortiz and Lopez's heads until their baby was born. However, after that, they'd no longer be able to stay there. According to church officials, the shelter was unable to care for a newborn. There's no one at the church who could watch the children during the time parents have to take care of themselves. Phil Mastrocola, an outreach worker at the church, told the Mercury News in September 2017. It's a safety concern. With nowhere to go, the couple faced the terrifying prospect of raising their baby on the streets once more. I don't know what I'm going to do, Ortiz said. I don't want to raise the baby in a tent where police can sweep us. My biggest fear is that I'm going to lose her, that they're going to take her away from me. The couple didn't have any family to turn to. Ortiz hadn't been in contact with her parents in years and was too frightened to ask for their help. Meanwhile, Lopez's loved ones were local to San Jose, but had no space for him and his expanding family. One of the only options open to the couple was trying a local family shelter. However, such facilities don't regularly accept unmarried men. That's because many women at family shelters have experienced abuse at home. Therefore, staff have to ensure residents don't feel intimidated by the presence of a male in the living area. As a result, Lopez was seriously considering living apart from his partner and baby so they could find shelter. I know living outside is not a place for a child, he explained. I don't want her to leave, but I have to do what's best for the baby. And if I have to sleep in a tent outside, so be it. Ortiz and Lopez had pretty much lost hope when Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County approached them. The organization helps families and individuals living in poverty, and although its values have their basis in gospel teachings, it works with people from all religious backgrounds. When staff heard about Ortiz and Lopez's plight, they knew the charity had to step in. The woman is about to give birth and they'd be homeless. It sounded a lot to me like the Holy Family. CEO Gregory Kepferl said, Mary was homeless and gave birth to Jesus in a stable. Here's a family in a very similar situation 2,000 years later. As a faith-based organization, we have to help. Through a landlord it works with regularly, Catholic Charities was able to find the couple a studio apartment. They would be able to live there without paying rent until they found employment. And that wasn't the only way that the organization were willing to help. They have a long journey ahead of them to stabilize their living situation and get employment and make sure the child has a stable life growing up. Kepferl explained, We've got a community that's willing to wrap their arms around this family. My hope is we can do this for many other families. So, thanks to the charity, the couple's child was born with a roof over her head and a full support system. Born nearly 2 weeks late, the couple named their daughter Serenity Michelle after Ortiz's late sister. She weighed a healthy 8 pounds, and according to Lopez, she was their miracle baby. With a new baby to love and people rooting for them, Ortiz and Lopez had a second shot at family life. I get to raise her in a different way than I raised my other kids, in a much better environment, Ortiz said. This is a chance to make up for mistakes I made with my other kids. Now that they had the basics covered, Ortiz and Lopez could finally start looking forward to the future. In order to provide for his family, Lopez was considering working nights as a janitor. That way he could care for Serenity during the daytime. Meanwhile, Ortiz hopes to put her experience to help out in the homeless community. "I'll never forget where I came from," she explained. "It puts a smile on homeless people's faces to know there's someone who cares out there." Please don't forget to share this video with your friends below.